Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here at weatherweb.net and it is Tuesday the 19th of January. Thanks again for watching. A bit of a chilly one this morning for many of us. Does make me laugh though to hear statements like the coldest night of the winter so far and severe frost. Yeah, it was cold, but come on, really that cold? It's just a mantra that gets repeated now, isn't it? You can't just have weather. You have to have some dramatic statement associated with it as well. This was a picture I took today showing a nice little patch of stratocumulus, but otherwise it was a fine day. This stratocumulus cloud indicative of a stable atmosphere. It's a very shallow cloud and it tells us that the atmosphere isn't really doing a great deal. I know that for some of you it's a cold raw day with lots of cloud around, but across central and southern parts of the UK we did see a fair amount of sunshine and I was lucky enough to be in that. If you weren't, my commiserations. I know how awful it is when people bang on about it being a glorious day and you've been stuck in cloud and cold all day long. Anyway, these were last night's minimum temperatures. This was the severe frost that was warned of. -6s, -7s across southern parts of England, -9 across parts of northern Scotland. So it was a cold night, and in between those two areas there was more cloud. You notice how temperatures held above a little bit. Going to be cold for the next few nights as well. This is the forecast for tonight. It's actually fairly similar values, coolest again across Scotland. Wednesday night looks like this, so by Thursday morning we're sort of -1s to -3s across many areas. -5s across northern parts of England, wouldn't be surprised with a -7 or a -8 across Scotland. And Friday morning, not quite such a severe frost. On Friday morning, temperatures holding around freezing for many of us, but much milder across the far southwest. So actually an improvement taking place. But if you think it's cold here, just look at this. This was the minimum overnight temperatures from last night across Scandinavia and eastern parts of Europe. Check that out. -37 degrees in northern parts of Norway and the north of Finland. Now that is cold and widespread below -15 degrees across much of Norway, across Sweden, into Finland as well, and also into the western parts of Russia. Boy, that was a chilly night. Now, if you use the word severe frost on the forecasts for this one, then I can understand it. Okay, then I'll go with it. But not when we're talking temperatures of -6s and -7s. So what's coming up? Well, this is the ECMWF going out to 10 days ahead. Now, the reason I've shown you this is just to pick out the ridge that you can see in here on the charts. That pumping up warm air from the south as we head through the next 5 or 6 days. Now, by the time we're getting into late next Sunday into Monday, we have got a trough that moves its way eastwards. What that does is it just temporarily introduces some cooler air from the west before it reverses back into a southwesterly briefly. But the ECMWF doing something interesting here. What it tries to do is to get the remnants of that trough look cut off towards the west of Portugal. Now, it doesn't do a very good job of it, but if that happens, it could squeeze the high back north and it might just get us into some cooler conditions in sort of 11-12 days time. So give it perhaps a couple of weeks and we could be looking at those cooler easterly winds setting in if ECMWF is right on this. What's interesting is that the GFS ensemble picks up on a similar tail as well. So these go forward in 12-hour steps. And here we are, look, with the high being squeezed off towards the north. Now, it kind of loses it at day 7.5 into day 8, but it's still there. We've still got this idea of cooler air coming around on an easterly across the UK, heading into day 10. And looking further ahead on the ensemble, it's still there. The high still in position, although it moves further towards the west, so it tries to bring back in the west to southwesterlies once again. But I think what we need to take from this is not too much detail. Is really to pin on the idea of this high kind of hanging around, being there somewhere right at the end of January into the early part of February. You remember our original long range that talked about it going cold at the end of January again into the early parts of February? Well, we may just be seeing some signs of it here. Of course, very, very early days. This is one that we need to watch. Having said that, CFS not really seeing anything just at the moment. This is the Arctic oscillation from the CFS. Notice how it keeps us into positive territory up till around Feb 20th and then goes negative. And on the NAO as well, it keeps it in positive territory. It certainly sees the kind of westerly flow dominating in the Atlantic, not seeing that detail picked up in the ECMWF or the GFS ensemble, again up to sort of Feb 19th, 20th, then goes negative. So it tries to go with the idea of colder weather at the end of February. But as I was saying yesterday, the QBO I think is causing some problems. CFS having difficulty seeing that. The overall pattern though that we're getting, the tail that we're getting from these models at the moment is to lean into cooler conditions in February. And I'm kind of swinging back to our original ideas here, you know. This idea of cooler conditions getting in right at the end of January sets us up for cooler, fairly mixed conditions during the early part of February. Chance of it going colder more widely, middle of Feb. Risk of some snow, certainly. And then perhaps staying pretty chilly through much of the month and certainly into March. Our official forecast of February went for a milder end to February, but this is kind of pulling me back now into the territory that we were previously in with our forecasts. So this is one of the joys of doing these seasonal forecasts and long range forecasts, is that it kind of throws you day to day. But as you know, here at WeatherWeb, what I try to do with look aheads is to give you an ongoing story, so give you the narrative as to where we're going with the forecast. Of course, the official forecasts don't just change day to day; they'd be absolutely useless. But the idea here is just for you to be able to build a picture of what things look like. I think at the moment we stick with the thoughts of a cooler, very late January and going cold early parts of February. We'll go with that one just at the moment to see how that pans out over the next few days. If we've got to adjust our monthly forecast for February, then so be it. That's kind of what you do. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that for now. You've heard enough thinking aloud from me. Whatever you're doing, don't forget, if you do want a forecast for the next couple of days, check out our fast forecast at weatherweb.net. But for now, thanks again for watching. Keep the sun shining, and bye for now.